Good morning, children. Welcome back to English class. And before taking the class, I want to give a general idea of English paper 1. See, we couldn't start English paper 1 because you know that the textbooks have arrived late, and then even by the end of the first term, many students did not buy the textbook. When I checked with the students, many have not bought the textbook. That's why I couldn't start the total English. Okay, so I will tell you a few things about paper 1. Okay, so English paper 1 is the easiest paper that you have to learn. Okay, very easy. But at the same time, if you don't practice, it is difficult to get mark. So this paper is out of 100 mark. 80 written and 80 marks written and 20 marks for internal assessment. Okay, so internal assessment means see, speaking, listening, or listening, speaking and writing. Okay, in each term students have to do a speech of 3 to 4 minutes in the class. Okay, and teachers or we assess and put the mark, and speaking, and then a listening test will be given, and for writing, okay, different composition topics are given, and I'll check whether you have completed the compositions. Okay, so whenever a composition topic is given, please write, and then go through your composition, and you can correct, so that when the teacher corrects the book, there will be only less mistakes. Okay, now regarding the first paper, I told you it's a general paper, and it's very easy for you to get mark or score mark. Nothing special is there to study, but you should be well versed in English. That means you have to read books, newspapers, okay, journals, and this may help you to be well versed in English, and if you it helps you to speak well and write well. And one important thing I used to tell the students, speak English. Okay, try to speak English. See, why are we learning language? Okay, not to learn some question answers and write. It's not the main purpose is to speak. Okay, so you should know how to speak the language. So see, in the beginning you may make mistakes, no problem. If you make mistakes, someone will correct you, and the next time you won't make the same mistake. So try to speak in English. This may help you so that you will be well versed in this language, and read as many books and newspapers in English. Okay, then about this paper, the first question, that is a general essay, 5 topics will be given, and you are asked to write one of the topics. Okay, and a picture composition will be there, a story will be there, and 2 topics will be personal. That means about you. That for example, the person whom you like the best, or an embarrassing day in your life, or the favorite day of your week, what you do on this day, like that, something personal. So 2 essays will be asked. That is a personal one. Okay, so the first question is an easy question, but I used to tell the children to go through the articles okay, or some essays. You can have a book having high school essays, okay, so that you go through the essays and you will know how to write, and you may not make mistakes when you write, okay. So the first essay carries 20 mark. The second question is write a letter, that carries 10 mark. Two letters will be given, one formal and one informal, and you can select one of these two letters and write, and it carries 10 mark. And the third question is notice and email. Notice 5 marks and email 5 marks, okay. And this is a very easy question. If you follow the format for a letter, notice and email, it is very easy to score 20 marks. 10 marks for letter, 5 marks for notice, 5 marks for email, okay. And then the fourth question, that is also an easy question. See, that's a comprehension passage. Just like an open book is before you and you are asked to write, okay, copy the answers and get mark. This is the question, because the comprehension passage is given and some questions, and then you have to read the passage and the answers are there in the passage itself, and the only thing you have to do is find out the answer and write correctly. That's what you are asked to do. And even children go wrong because they don't want to read carefully, they don't want to find the answer. Once they start, they have to complete it fast and get out of the classroom or exam hall. This is what they do. That's why they lose mark in this fourth question, that is comprehension passage. So comprehension passage, 3 words are asked to write the meaning, and then 9 marks question answers, and then proceed. See, if you write 50 words for the proceed, 8 marks, that means 6 marks for the proceed. A particular question is asked, and then you have to find an answer, find the answer and write out of 50 words, and you can score 6 marks there. And for expression, 2 marks. That means if you have written all the points in 50 words and not going beyond 50 words, you will get 2 marks additional. That is the expression mark. So proceed, you will get 8 marks. So altogether the comprehension passage, the fourth question is 20 marks. And the fifth is the grammar part, that is question 5a, that is writing verb form, okay, the corrective verb form. And B is writing the appropriate word or filling the blanks with the appropriate word. And C is join the sentence without using and or, and, but, or, so. So four sentences will be there. And question 5D is transformation of sentences. And in each sentence there will be a instruction at the end, and you have to follow that instruction and change the sentence without changing the meaning. This is what the first paper, okay, written paper is. So it's a very easy paper. Only thing you have to practice, okay. In the Total English, after every chapter, one practice paper is there, okay. So practice paper. So you are practicing just like what you have to write in the exam. See, all the questions are there in the practice paper. Okay, now today I will teach you the 9th chapter, because all 8th chapter you were supposed to finish in 8th standard. I know that you have completed 8 chapters in 8th standard, and this year we have to start with 9th chapter. So we'll get started with it, okay. So the grammar part is active and passive voice, okay. Active and passive voice. I know you have learned this in smaller classes, but I just want you to brush up your memory so that you will remember the lessons that you have learned, okay, before. So, active and passive voice. I had written a sentence here. All of you look here. Maya writes a letter. And see the second sentence. A letter is written by Maya. Okay. So, see these two sentences. Okay. The first sentence and the second sentence. Is there any change in meaning? No. I know that. Okay. So, there is no change in meaning. Only the structure has been changed. Okay. The first sentence, Maya writes a letter. Here, okay, the subject, you know, which is the subject? Maya. The verb, okay, writes what? A letter. So, a letter is the object. Okay. Now, in the second sentence, a letter is written by Maya. Okay. So, in the first sentence, we know that the subject, what does the subject do? Writes what? A letter. So, the subject does the action. The subject does the action. So, the voice of the verb is active. The subject does the action. So, the voice of the verb is active. So, voice means what? The form of the verb which tells us whether the subject does the action or something is done to the subject. So, in the first sentence, the subject does the action. So, it is active. The sentence is active. So, that is the form of the verb. That is active voice. Okay. Now, see the second sentence. A letter is written by Maya. So, here, which is the subject of the second sentence? The second sentence, the subject is a letter. Now, children, see whether the subject does any action here. Does the letter write? No. Then what happens? What happens here? A letter is written. That means something is done to the subject. The subject is not doing any action, but something is done to the subject. Or we can say the subject undergoes the action. The subject undergoes the action. A letter is written by Maya. So, both the sentence means same, but only the structure is changed. Okay, now sometimes you will be given a sentence in active voice and you will be asked to change it into passive voice. Sometimes a sentence in passive voice will be given and you will be asked to change into active voice. So, you should know the steps. Okay. Now, see what had happened here. This is an active voice. Okay. In the next sentence, I told you the subject does not do any action. It is passive. See, we know that in the class some children sit passively. You know what is passively? Without doing any learning activities. That's what. Okay. You should not be like that. Active. Okay. So, here, what happened here? See, the object of the active voice. Okay. So, the object becomes the subject of the passive voice. So, see the first sentence, that is an active voice. So, the object here, okay, a letter. A letter, that is object. The object of the active voice became the subject of the passive voice. And then here, the subject came to the object column here. See, Maya. This is the subject of the active voice, and now this subject had become the object of the passive voice. And that is the first step you have to do when you are asked to change a sentence from active to passive. And then what happened? Okay. Now, then the principal verb. See, the principal verb is changed. Okay, the principal verb here is writes. That is a simple present form, writes. And here we are written, see, written. So write, wrote, written. That is a third form of the verb. That is past participle form of the verb. Past participle form of the verb. So when you have to make an active to passive voice, you should know the third form of the verb. So written. Now and then. So you have to find the past participle form of the principal verb. So that is the second step. And the third step is the verb has to agree with the subject. You have to see whether the verb agrees with the subject. Okay. So here a letter. A letter. So is the verb is. We wrote is written. Now if I had written the sentence Maya writes letters. Okay. Just think if the sentence is Maya writes letters. So in the passive voice, letters, the object, okay, it will become the subject, letters. Then instead of is, what will be here? Letters are written by Maya. So that's what the third step, you have to see whether the verb agrees with the number of the subject. Okay. So that is the 3 steps that you have to understand. Okay. Now I have given another sentence here. Okay. So Maya writes a letter, that is simple present, and the next is, okay, present continuous. Okay, tell me how you can change the sentence into present continuous. Yes. Maya is writing a letter. Maya is writing a letter. Okay. So see here the first step. Okay. Bring the object to the subject column. Subject of the passive voice. And then subject of the active voice will become the object of the passive voice. And then, okay, the principal verb is changed. Writing, written. And then, okay, a letter is. And then when you change the continuous tense, even present continuous and past continuous also, you have to use this word being. Okay, being, you have to use being. So is being written, a letter is being written by Maya. Okay, I'll tell you one sentence. The children are playing football. The children are playing football. Try to change it into passive voice. The children are playing football. Please think. Okay. Football is being played by the children. Okay. So that's all. Now, so next form is present perfect. Okay. Maya has, it's blurred. Maya has written a letter. Okay, when you write perfect tense, you have to use has or have according to the subject. Okay, Maya has written a letter. I have written a letter. You have written a letter. They have written a letter. You should know which, whether has or have goes with the subject. Okay, Maya has written a letter. Now, okay, the first step we did. Okay, letter. A letter. Then Maya, subject became the object. And then this is perfect tense. So whenever you change the perfect tense, you have to use been. Even in the past perfect also, you have to use present perfect or past perfect or future perfect. You have to use this been. Okay. So a letter has been written by Maya. Okay. Now the next form is present perfect continuous tense. Present perfect continuous tense. See, Maya has been writing a letter. Can you change this into passive form? No. Okay. So present perfect continuous and past perfect continuous, future perfect continuous do not have passive form. Okay. So it does not have a passive form. Now these are you have to remember. See, when you change, okay, you 3 steps I told you, and then you have to remember this. Okay, the verb that agrees with the subject. Okay, you have to use am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been plus past participle form of the word. So any of these verb, okay, any of this will go with it, okay, with plus the principal verb, that is the past participle form of the principal verb. Now, okay, so the one important thing that you have to remember is that only transitive verbs can be changed into passive voice. And what is transitive verb? I know you have learned in 5th standard, 6th standard. Okay, what is transitive verb? Transitive verb takes an object. Okay, that means you can't change an intransitive verb into passive voice. Okay, intransitive verb, that means a verb should have an object. See, in all this sentence the verb has an object, and now in this sentence only one object is there. Suppose there are 2 objects in one sentence. 2 objects are there. If the verb has 2 objects, then how you will change it into passive voice? Now I've given an example here. I gave her a pen. Okay, so I gave, okay, I subject, gave verb, her a pen. I gave what? A pen. So this is the direct object. Okay, a pen is the direct object, and indirect object is also there, that is her. Okay, now we can take either of these, one of these objects, and bring to the subject column, or to bring as the subject of the passive voice, any of this object. So okay, I'll give you 2 sentences. Okay, first by taking this, or okay, person, that is given more importance. Okay, her. Now her is the object form. What is the subject form of her? I gave her a pen, and dash gave me the book, and she, okay, she. So the object form of her is she. Okay, so you have to bring this as the subject of the passive voice, and then when you bring as the subject, it should be the subject form. Don't write her. Okay, it is the object form. So her, the subject form of her is she. Okay, she, and then this sentence is in past tense. Okay, gave. So the, okay, gave, the past participle is given. So she, then we changed given, and then it has to agree with the she. Okay, here am, is, are, was, were, which will be appropriate? Okay, she was given what? A pen by me. Okay, so the preposition by is used there, and according to the meaning we have to write. She was given a pen by me. Okay, and now we'll take pen. Okay, 2 objects are there. First we took her, and then pen. Pen, this object can be brought as the subject. Okay, a pen was given to her by me. Okay, so you can take either of the object and bring it as the subject, and remember, or keep in mind that that the other object should be retained there. Okay, don't omit that object. It should be retained in the sentence. Okay, so I hope you understood how to make it change from active to passive. And now we'll see the past tense. Okay, so Maya writes a letter. can you change that into past? Okay. Maya wrote a letter. Maya wrote a letter. So how it will be? The passive, a letter. Okay. A letter was written. Okay. So the past tense. Okay. Simple past. A letter was written by Maya. A letter was written by Maya. Or the sentence given in your book it is. Okay. Naveen cooked the food. The food was cooked by Naveen. Okay. Now, past continuous. Past continuous, how can you change it? Naveen cooked the food. Naveen was cooking the food. Naveen was cooking the food. Naveen was cooking the food. How? Okay. Okay. First one. Food was cooked. Was cooked by Naveen. And Naveen was cooking the food. Okay. The food. Okay. The food was, then continuous tense I have told you. You have to use what in continuous tense? Being. Okay. The food was being cooked by Naveen. Okay. The food was being cooked by Naveen. Now, past perfect. Okay. In perfect tense, I told you have to use has or had. Okay. So, so in perfect, present perfect, you have to use has or have. In past perfect, whatever the subject is. So, it is easy for you. Whether the subject is I, you, we, they, he, she, it. All the subjects had. Okay. I had written a letter. She had written a letter. You had written a letter. We had written a letter. They had written letters. Okay. So, had goes with all the subjects. So, in past perfect, okay, past perfect, Naveen had cooked the food. Naveen had cooked the food. So, in passive voice, the food, okay, the food had, then which word should be used? Been, okay, been. Naveen had, the food had been cooked by Naveen. Had been cooked. The food had been cooked by Naveen. Okay. So, then past perfect continuous. What is the past perfect continuous tense? Naveen had been cooking the food. Naveen had been cooking the food. See, perfect continuous tense. I told you. Perfect continuous tense do not have the passive form. Do not have the passive form. Okay. Now we'll check future tense. Okay. Maya writes a letter. Change that sentence into future. Maya will write a letter. Maya will write a letter. How can you change that? Okay. A letter will, and then here will be. A letter will be written by Maya. Okay. A letter will be written by Maya. That is the simple future changed into passive form. A letter will be written by Maya. Then what is a present? Future continuous. Maya will be writing a letter. No passive form for future continuous. No passive form for future continuous. And next is future perfect. That is, Maya will have written a letter. Maya will have written a letter. So, perfect tense you have to use what? Been. So, A letter will have been written by Maya. A letter will have been written by Maya. So other sentence we can say, Naveen will cook some food. Some food. Okay. So Naveen will cook some food. Some food will be cooked by Naveen. Okay. Now, future perfect. Naveen will have cooked some food. Naveen will have cooked some food. Okay, some food will have been. Some food will have been cooked by Naveen. And so in future tense, only simple future and future perfect have got passive form. Understood? There is no passive form for future continuous and future perfect continuous. Only two in this. Okay. So I hope you understood how to change from active to passive. So after watching this class, I want you to do page number 144. 10 sentences are there. You have to do, and in the next class I will give you the answers. Okay, and see how the passive voices are used. Okay, see in the sometimes equivalent or active voice cannot be found. Okay, for example, Rome was not built in a day. So for that sentence we cannot find an equal sentence in active voice. It cannot be. Okay, so and then passive voice is used especially when speakers do not commit themselves to actions, opinions or statements. The example, hundreds of magazines are published every month. Okay, so there the speaker is not telling us, okay, personally. Okay, hundreds of magazines are published every month, or the matter will be handled firmly. Okay, so then you can find, okay, the passive form in reports. When you read the reports in newspaper, okay, about a theft or about an accident, okay, whatever it is, a report, when you read a report from the newspaper, you find this, okay, in passive voice. Okay, the survivors were found. Okay, then the victims were taken to the hospital. So like that. And now again passive voice is used when we give more importance to the action rather than the people who do the action. We don't know, or sometimes we know who has done it, but we give more importance to the action and not the subject. Okay, see, our roof was damaged in the storm. Our roof was damaged. So that means we are giving more importance to what had happened. Okay, that is, the roof is damaged, not to the subject. Okay, then we use passive voice when the doer of the action is not known. When the doer of the action is not known, it is it is not good to say somebody did it, someone did it. Okay, so we can use that in passive voice. For example, the money is stolen from the house. Okay, or the money is stolen because we do not know who has taken. Okay, or who has taken. So we don't need to say it is stolen by somebody, someone. No, the money is stolen. That means the importance is given to what had happened and the subject of the action is not known. Okay, in such cases we use passive voice. So, or it is better to use passive voice. Okay, so and then the passive voice is used when the subject is an indefinite pronoun like one. See, for example, the form has to be signed. That means one has to sign the form. Instead of saying one has to sign, okay, the passive voice is used. The form has to be signed. Okay, so these are some of the uses of passive voice. Okay, so I want you to do page number 144, and that is one. Why did he deprive you of your property? Okay, one sentence we'll do as an example. Begin, why were you? That means why did he deprive you of your money? Okay, so the sentence that you have to write should be in passive voice. Why, where, okay, which is the verb, principal verb you have to write there. Why were you deprived, yes, of your property by him? Okay, so you have to complete this exercise and I'll give you the answers later. Okay.